So other portions of inner classes that we need to discuss is the second one is the regular inner class. So what I would say is maybe so what I'll do, I just created a simple class, simple inner class. Now let's look at that, the impact of it. How do you create object and how do you use it? No. Just let me try changing this to public. Or I don't specify anything. Cannot convert from inner class to Hey Murli, welcome back. Okay, he did not get the audio yet. Hey Murli, can you hear me?
Yes, yes, Hari.
So, welcome back.
I'm sorry. I'm actually attending another commerce server training, which is useful for my current project. So
Uh-huh.
I may not be able to make to all the classes, but I will try as much as so. Please
Okay,
don't wait for me.
okay, 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 fine. What we are doing is that, we're discussing, as I mentioned in the email, we are discussing about inner classes.
Yes.
So, I'll, instead of making this, what I can do is, okay. Now, if you clearly notice that the we now the second type of inner class. First one is static inner class, static nested. Since within a class, within a class I have another class, and that you can call that as a inner class, right? So static, I declared one static nested class and other one is a regular class, regular inner class. So my inner class is also again in the another class called top inner class, top level class. So how we use it, in terms of writing the code for the class, if I look at this particular thing, it looks pretty much same as your regularly how you write your code, okay? But the difference will come how you use the object. So in case of a static, we looked at it already that it works like a package explicitly. Even new, when I do new top level class dot static nested class, I'm doing this as if it is a package. But when it comes to the inner class, when it comes to the inner class, if you look at like the way we initialize the object is that the declaration is looks similar, but then initialization, see here, first I need the object for the top level class, the container class, whoever is the container class, I need to create an object for it. And then see here, this looks little different, this syntax looks little different because we have never done a new operator after an object. Usually when you do object dot, you call a method. We call a method, but only in case of inner class, you can do like this. Okay. And generally, actually, like when we define inner classes in Java or maybe even in .NET, the purpose is generally like not to expose it to outside world. So I might say this and it might cause an error there. So this class is not visible now. So generally like it may be a private class. So when it is a private class, then how can I use this class? Then I need to use, see here how it works. No included instance of the object is available. Most call for location the including instance of the object x dot where x is the instance of the top level class. My goodness. Including instance of the object. Interesting. When I wanted to use inside. Sorry. Yeah, I understood the problem. What I'm trying to do is trying to do something within the static class. I'm extremely sorry. What I need to do is actually it looks a little confusing actually, but then once you know the purpose and how to use it, this is constructor. I'll write some method, simple method, void say hi from top level class. Yeah, now it should work. Equal to new. No, it works just like that. See, and I can use my inner object dot. Now let me say one another important aspect is the access issue. So what I can access within an inner class. Suppose if I have a top level variable, private variable, say int count. Now in the where is my this class? See, I can access it. If the container has a variable, if the container top level class has a variable, I can access that variable from inner class. But not not in the static nested class I cannot use it because can you guess the reason? From a static class I cannot refer or a static method I cannot refer or I cannot use non-static variables. Why? So my question is from a static method or even from a static class I cannot refer non-static variables. The reason is that when you say static means it remains only one instance or one. And when I say static method, generally like it is that per class there is only one method, or uh, static variable means per class there will be only one instance of that variable. If I create 100 objects also, there will be only one variable will be there used by all the 100 objects. So because of that, I cannot specify when you are talking about a static scope. I cannot specify non-static non-static variables, or I cannot refer to non-static stuff. There is a reason I cannot use it like this. But at the same time, suppose if I have private static, let me say, and now it works. See, that's an interesting thing. Okay. So there are inner classes. There are two ways we can use these inner classes. Okay, and I'll try to minimize this so that we'll not have any confusion. If I want to use this inner class elsewhere, then the scope. There is a scope as well. I can make this as a public or private or even protected. When I make this private, I cannot access it from outside classes. See here. Here it throws, inner classes, demo class is a different one, right? because the top level class is into Hari inner classes package. Okay, okay. They are, though they are in the same package, when something is private, I cannot access. So I'm not able to access. Now what I'll do is I'll remove this. When I remove this, it works. Because when I remove, what happens is that it becomes when I don't have any access specifier. What does it really mean? What is the access specifier that will be used there? It is something called default. We don't write anything called default, but it is assumed that default actually means that within the same class or within the same package there will be visibility for the particular class. There will be visibility for the particular class. So that is the reason. So they are in the same package, so I could pretty much see that this one, and top object dot. Okay, so let me run it once. We may not see any exiting output such as, but else if you lens hi from inner class within static class constructor. Why is it two times it's coming? Okay, I initialized two times. This one two times, so that is the reason I'm getting it. Then I'm calling say hi from top level class. Okay, and here I did not say anything. So I'm saying hi from top level class. Okay, so one. Now let me run this once. So what's happening is the first two lines, because I'm calling the static class, static nested class creation two times just to show you how how many ways it is possible. And then I called another constructor. What is it? Top level class. So it actually that line got printed, and then I called top level object dot say hi from top level class. And here I just printed this, and then I created an inner object and call that method. So because this method, my inner object has hi from inner class, that is printed once, hi from inner class, and again I have another inner, I'm calling this method again. I created one more inner object and call this method. That is the reason I got one more inner class. So now it looks bit confusing at the outset, but then, theory is that it is actually simple, and we need inner classes, or we use inner classes when we want to protect our code by not exposing some of the internal algorithms outside. So when I mark this class as private, when I mark this class as private, look at this. When I mark this class as private, and no one else will know about the existence of my inner class. So that is the reason I get this error. That is the reason I get this error here. So because the visibility is not there. So that you will not confuse, or we will not mix that logic or algorithm elsewhere. So whatever is private logic, I can pretty much write into, and still, I'm making this, instead of writing in the top level class, what I am doing is I'm putting that into a class, and so that you can wrap data and variables, sorry, data and methods, and so you have visibility within the same the container class. So here in this case, the top class is the top level class. The name that container class is having is the top level class. So when I create my inner class and I write the logic here, whatever logic I write, I can pretty much, I'm using it here. So it is only accessible from this class and from no other class. But if you really want to make it accessible from elsewhere, what I can do is just remove this private keyword and it works fine. It depends on how we are going to use it and what is the requirement. But then when you create an object for inner classes from outside, see here object dot new, and this is the interesting part. Object dot new and say my inner class and whatever your class name, and you may have constructor parameters and all, it will work. Okay, only this part is little difficult to understand. Once you understand this thing, once you practice this, after that rest is same. How you write your methods, how you write the class and all is same. So other thing that you need to focus is the access of your top level class. Whatever variables are there in the top level class, they are available to your inner class, now. Any questions on this? Hope I'm not really boring. And what I'll do is, now I'll introduce you to one more interesting class, public void demo. What was the other class name that I mentioned? Local class. Okay. Now it is possible that I write a class here. Please notice what I'm doing. I'm writing a class in a method. I'm writing a class in a method. Now I just wrote only simple hi method in this class as well. Now how do I use this? How do I use this class? Now let me see if I can create. Now in this method, can I create this my local class? Cannot be resolved to a variable. See, I cannot use within the same class in another method. I am not able to use. What I can, when I can use this local classes is that my local object. It's only when one sec. I should be able to use only within this same class. Is it something like this? Perfect. Okay. Now what happened to when I put this logic here? Okay. So after defining it, I'm able to use, when I declare a class, after declaring it, I can use this class. But now the interesting part is that this inner class, whatever I am writing, This is pretty much local to the method. This is within the method, and no one else in the outside this method know about this. And now I'll show you one exciting thing. Generated class names. Look at the class names that got generated. Generally what happens is, if we have a Java class, then say my inner class is demo.java, then here it is inner classes demo.class. But then for inner classes, actual inner classes, it says, $1 my inner class 1, dollar my inner class. See, this is interesting. And here as well, so it looks like when you see generated, if you see the class files, when you see some class dollar another class, then okay, fine, so these guys used inner classes within the code. You should be able to figure out by looking at this. You should never get confused, rather you should figure out that, okay, this is because of the fact that they used inner classes. Now you look at this, top level class $1 my local class. Now we'll see if we can do something else. Let me create one more object. Okay, now perfect. Now okay, the class definition, that it will be same, but if I create another class, here, if I create one more class, sorry, like this, if I create one more class like this, let me say one, I'll not comment this code, but just to show you the output, how it looks like. See here, what I did is I created one more local class within the method, and the output, like now here it shows, oh okay, so it uses $1 my local class 1. Okay, so it still uses this because the name is unique, so fine. But then can you guess when this will become 2? Top level class, here you see that $1 my local class. Any guesses? Sorry, any guesses when I can make that as a 2, number 2?
By using another inner class inside of it.
Inside of I think inside of a different method. Now what I did here, my demo local class method, right? Now what I can do is say I write another method. This is another method, and interestingly I can use the same class name back again, because the scope is only for this method. And now see here, top level class $2 my local class. When I used within the same class, within the same method, I'm not able to use it because there is a name conflict. if I use copy paste here again, so it actually says that it is a duplicate nested type. So what I need to do is I need to do something like this. But when I do this, it goes back there and sits as okay, $1 my local class 1. So if the same class, now, okay, that what I understood is, if I use the same class name two times in two different methods, then I get, for the second one I get as a $2 my local class. Okay, and as long as, if there is no conflict, let me try once more. Let me try this once more. Yes, this is okay. I make this and I say I write 2, just that, and still it will be $1 only. See here, $1 my local class 2. The reason is that, if it is really duplicate, then only it is, duplicate means the same class name, used in multiple methods as local class, then I'm getting is, 2 or 3 or 4, that you can increment the count. How I can increment the count? Suppose if I make this also, now it will be 3. See here. So this is an interesting part to observe. So what I will do actually is that, maybe to avoid too much of confusion, I'll just live with this particular part. Demo local class and let it be. Okay, these two things let it be. And let me write some comment. Okay. So that's about local classes. Again, now here I'll give you one small assignment. How is the variables, how are the variable scope? You need to figure out the variable scope, how it really works. Suppose if I have a variable here, private int local count equal to 0, I can see when I have within a method, I cannot use the private stuff. That's a mistake of me. See here, this is interesting. Now read this message and tell me what I need to do. Cannot refer to a non-final variable local count inside an inner class defined in a different method. If I want to use this field, what should I be doing? Read the message. Hope you can read this message. It says, cannot refer to a non-final variable local count inside an inner class defined in a different method. Now, when I write, the fix is, you want to give it a try? Suggest something. Solution is that.
Can we write a public int over there? Can we declare as a public one?
And no, when I'm talking about method, I did the mistake earlier. I made that as a private. You cannot specify the access. You cannot have any modifier for a variable in a method. Only the access specifiers are at the class level. Got it right?
Okay. Yeah.
So this actually it says that non-final variable, but what I can do is I can use final, and when you use final I cannot change the state. Final for variables means that it's a constant, you cannot change the value. So but I can use the value, I can use it. So inside local class I mean that it is local to a method. Within a method I'm declaring another class and using it. In that situation, if you want to use any of the properties of your class, the method, that should be within this class, it should be final. If I want to use this local count in this local class, I need to make this as final. Then only I can use it. Okay, so this is one interesting thing. That's where for me, when I think of inner classes, three important things: what type of the inner class it is, okay, and how and where I initialize inner class, and third point is the scope, what I can do, what I cannot do, what I can access, what I cannot access. So that becomes very interesting thing. Okay, and the final, when we looked at during the abstract class, we looked at that using final keyword for a class, what can we do, what do we achieve when we declare a class as final? I declared a class as final, so what exactly that means? Declaring a class as final means public final class, right? So what does it really mean? What is the impact of this keyword final? Guesses? You know the answer already. We discussed this. Suji? This is opposite for opposite word for abstract class. Okay. That's where it becomes tricky. It looks like familiar, but we may get confused. When I declare a class as final, that actually means that I'm stopping the inheritance. No one can inherit. There cannot be no child classes for this. And when I declare this as an abstract class, that actually means that no object for me, but some child of me can have objects. Okay. So when I declare an abstract, that actually means that you are enforcing inheritance. In order to use the class, I need to inherit and have a child class, and only I can use the methods, or I can do something with this class only from the child class. When I declare as final, I cannot have any child classes. I cannot have any inheritance. Abstract means mandatory inheritance. Final means no inheritance. Is that clear?
Yep.
Yeah. So, but when it comes to the variables, when I use the keyword final, that actually means that the value will never be changed. Once initialized, the value will never be changed. But then, once I think you can initialize it, let me see how it looks like. Now, you can initialize it once. Now, let me see if I can really do this. Okay, cannot be assigned. And let me see if I can do this here. Since it is defined in an enclosing type.
You already declared it as final.
Sorry. Yeah. No, I declared that as a final, but I did not initialize it.
Okay, okay.
It should be allowing us to initialize it. Oh, sorry. The complexity is that now this is within a method. That is the reason I am not able to do. If I want to do something, I need to, do at this level. But at the top level, I can show you how it can work. I did not initialize it, see? And what is it? May not have been initialized. So final count equal to 10. See here? So when I declare as a final, I can initialize it at least, someplace. And that someplace is either the variable declaration itself or within constructor. Within the constructor also I can do it. That's an interesting part. But when I did not do it, see, it actually shows the error for me. The blank final field final count may not have been initialized. The error message is really good. So fine, let's go back to the inner classes discussion. So now is it clear that the local classes concept, that what I'm doing is local class means within a method I write a class and use it. And the scope of this particular class is limited to the method. I can only create an object within the method and then use it. And other method in the same class also is not aware of that particular class. If I write if I write another method, now say this is demo local class method, right? And say now I have say hi from top level class. Now let me see if I can access, see, I can add that local and I say a control space. I don't get that because this my local class is very local to the demo local class method. And if I try to use it, it doesn't work. It says cannot be resolved to a variable. It is very private to the method. See now if we really think of it, now it is when we inner class concept, when you look at object oriented stuff, I was actually talking about, when we are discussing about protected part, it is that something secret within a family. So father secret, child knows, that kind of thing. Now here, within the same object, maybe that you can say this is a personality, multiple personality disorder kind of thing. So I do not even know what is happening in one method, from another method. Since if I write a class in a method, and if if I have a parallel method in the same container class, from that class I am not able to access this inner class. So that's the interesting part. Now there is one more thing that is still left for us is anonymous classes. What does it mean by anonymous class? Can you please guess? Anonymous class by name. So that actually means a class without a name. Class without a name. How do I use an interface? How do I use an interface? You must answer this. I declared the interface, okay? So how can I realize the interface? by implementing, there should be some class implementing it. Then only I can really use it. Okay. So what is this? Now we understood that logic of this thing, binary files, how the class files get generated. Now what I will do is, what is this demo? Okay, for singleton I have shown that. Let me write a simple interface. Okay, simple interface, hello world. Public void, say hello. Come on. Oh, see, the stupidity what I'm doing. You cannot define a method. This method has one single interface method. Sorry, this interface has a single method called say hello. Okay. Now, how can I use this particular interface? By implementing this, I may need to have something called, hello world IMPL. Let me see that as well. Some class, name and IMPL, just to mean that, this is an interface, sorry, implementation. Hello world. Okay. Is this clear? I just created an interface and an implementation class. There's no complexity, right? This is something that we discussed long back.
Hmm.
Right?
Yep.
So what is the class name here? What is the name of the class? This one.
Hello world is the class.
Hello world IMPL is the class.
IMPL.
I mean,
Yep.
yeah. So hello world IMPL is the class. So class name. Here I have a name for the class. Clear? Now anonymous class actually means that without a name. Let us see how that can be achieved. Why it is an invalid type for variable? No, I'm not saying this is a variable. That's some magic here. What am I doing? Okay. Reason is that, okay. Demo, okay. So now I press and enter. I can pretty much do this hopefully here, not on here. What is happening? Let me expand everything. Class minor class. I'm not able to write a method. I mess the course so much. Okay, fine. What I will do is I'll actually I'll just try to make it as okay. I'll write another method, simplest way. Oh, the mistake I'm doing is this. Okay, and now actually I can even do this. That was a mistake I was doing, and I can do that pretty much in the same class. You guys should help me out when I do mistake. Syntax misspelled construct. So this method we shall use the anonymous classes. Okay. So I'll take another 5 to 10 minutes. Hope that is okay for you guys. Now here equal to, see here, please notice this portion. See hello world, what is hello world? Hello world is an interface. Okay, and actually you cannot use new keyword with an interface generally, but then here it's actually not on top of hello world as an interface, but I am writing a class implementation and using this. Here I am pretty much writing the implementation as well, but no class. Otherwise this line should be something similar to this public class hello world impl implements hello world. It should be something similar to this, but because here it is an anonymous, I am not writing any class name, so I directly say new and interface name and followed by the implementation required for it. This is called anonymous class. Like local class, this also generally you use them anonymous classes objects, you use them within methods, within methods. And the difference is that only you need to understand this portion. And if I look at, this part is pretty much clear, because it's like, any other, even the hello world IMPL also will be similar to this. If I look at this implementation, this is similar to hello world IMPL, and the inner class, this portion is similar. There's no difference. One moment. So, the method declaration wise and implementation wise, there is no difference, but only difference is that, there is no class name. You need to understand this. There is no class name. That is the reason we call this as anonymous class, a class without any name. And the interesting thing is that we looked at, the singleton design pattern earlier, right? Last week. What is singleton? Singleton. Please respond to me.
We can call only one class.
We can call only.
No, we can declare only one class in that.
No, that's not correct answer. I mean, your whatever you mean is what I expect, but the whatever you are saying is incorrect. It is about only one, not class, object.
Yeah, I'm sorry, it's object.
Yeah, it's an object. Enforcing that, there is only one and only one object. That's how we do it. So actually, like, I thought we can use anonymous inner class as well to achieve some kind of, singleton, but okay, I'll not confuse you, because you need to, there is so many things right now. There are a lot of variables, how it really works, starting nested class, inner class, local class, anonymous class. So you need to digest these things first, and then maybe if you are really ready, then I'll try to explore that as well. But here, if I try to, again, let me show you one exciting thing. One. Okay. And okay. Let us see the output of this, the class file that gets generated. Answer. Hello? Sir, 2 minutes. So, where is this stuff? Hello world. Where is hello world? See here. Top local class, then $1 class. And I used it second time, I used new hello world second time, and then the output is top level class $2 class. Why? Can you guess? In other case, you look at this, my class, my local class dot class, my local class 1 dot class, or my inner class 1 dot class, my inner class dot class, But here it is just 1 dot class and 2 dot class. Why? I mean, see, the topic that we are discussing is the name of that topic, and then the answer for my question. Both of them are same. What am I discussing? Tell me.
Anonymous class.
Yeah, because the class is anonymous, because it has no name. That is the reason I am not getting any name here. I just get a number. I'm just getting the number. And obviously I cannot use this object anywhere else, So this is limited, pretty much limited to the place where I'm calling. I initialize and I use it. That's it. you know I This is about, say at high level, this is pretty much about the various type of inner classes possible in Java, but only thing is that you need to practice it. Believe me, it is very confusing if you don't practice. If you don't practice, it is very confusing. Even I used to get confused earlier, but now because I've been doing, this, for first class, I was always searching for the answers. But then now I know how it works because I'm practicing it. I'm writing the code. So you need to do the same, and that's the only way you can figure out what these classes, inner classes are, and how we can use them. So just to summarize, um, so what we discussed was static nested class. I think what I'll do is I'll just put them in order. Cut this code. Now let's look at this code. In the top level, I have static nested class. This doesn't need any Java dot. So now for the static works like, static nested class, it works like a package, okay, and the inner class, the inner class, otherwise, it's a pretty much a regular class, and how you use it, you need a top level object, whatever is a container class, we need an object for it, and then dot, and use this, or within the within the same within the same somewhere it should be there. Yeah, see here, my inner class, within the same class from other methods I can pretty much call this as if it is a different class altogether. It works pretty much fine, but from outside world, I need to have the container object dot new this particular inner class object. In case of local classes are local to a method. So within a method, I declare a class and use it. The scope is limited to the particular method where I am defining my new class. And suppose if I have to use a variable that is initialized or that is declared within the method, if I have within this method, I need to have final int my count, something like this. and I can use that here. Sorry, I can use it. Sorry, what happened? What happened? What happened? It says not initialized. Yeah, final means you need to initialize it sometime. You know, this is the only way I can use it. So this is about a local class, and then we looked at anonymous class. Anonymous class is nothing but, by implementing a interface without having a name. Here I'm implementing an interface, but I'm not having any name for the class. So this is an interesting feature. So we use this in many places, and I can actually when we look at Java Swings, I can explain one use of this. Okay. So but then what I request is that please go back, try to practice, come back with questions, because the more deeper we are going, it looks like more complex, and without practice we will have a bigger disconnect. So any questions so far?
No.
If no questions, please go back and practice, and we'll stop for today. We will